Edgar's very explosive, but Hamzah Sheeraz very live in that fight. Chavez is a much better boxer, but Jake Paul has the youth. Usyk is so good. Dubois has got to be aggressive, he's got to land, and he's got to start fast.
This is the main event!
It's interesting, you know, I think good matchmaking from Jake Paul and the team. Chavez, of course, once upon a time, many years ago, was a good fighter. He's just had a wild life, a wild ride, and you've just seen him deteriorate over the years. But I do think the word is that he's, you know, back with his head in the right place and giving it everything in camp. So the fundamentals are there from Julio Cesar Chavez. It's not like Jake Paul's just fighting some MMA guy or, you know, Julio Cesar Chavez was at one point a world-class fighter. The problem is, can you all of a sudden, after that huge roller coaster of your life, just have a good camp for a few weeks and then be a world-class fighter again? The answer is no. Does he have to be a world-class fighter to beat Jake Paul? Not necessarily. So I actually like this fight. I think it's good matchmaking from Jake Paul because I think he will win. And I actually think he'll stop him as well because I just feel like Chavez, if he can't get into the fight, we've seen him sometimes look for a way out. We saw it many years ago, even against Daniel Jacobs. And I think the size of Jake Paul, don't forget Julio Cesar Chavez was a middleweight, then he was a super middleweight, then he kind of flirted at light heavyweight. Now really he's up against a cruiserweight. And I think it'll be a competitive fight, but I see Jake Paul winning by late stoppage. The fact is Chavez is a much better boxer. He has a much better ring IQ than Jake Paul because of his experience as a fighter. Jake Paul has the youth, he has the size. I think he's a strong man. I think he can punch relatively well. But, you know, if Chavez is in shape, if he's in a good frame of mind, he's definitely got the attributes to cause him problems. The weakness in Jake Paul is just the experience and the fact that he just found boxing late and hasn't really had the ring time against any quality fighters. He's improved heaps from when he started, but he's still a novice in the sport. So inexperience versus the experience of Julio Chavez Jr., but freshness, you know, body and mind of Jake Paul versus a guy that's been up, been down, down, and just probably too little, too late to turn anything around for Chavez. I think for Jake, I mean, you have to give him props and credit because he's dedicated himself to the sport. He's doing the hard yards in training camp and he's undoubtedly improving. He's still nowhere near a world-class fighter, but he's a lot better than a lot of fighters. So I think he has every right to do what he's doing. You know, Chavez still fought for world championships when he was, you know, in his prime. So this is a boxer that he's fighting. Is it an old, faded boxer? Yes, but that's okay. I think it's good matchmaking and I think it will show us the improvements of Jake Paul and actually where he stands now as a professional boxer versus, you know, sometimes a little bit of a circus act. I think this is, he can actually showcase what he's learned and how he's improved. Berlanga Sheeraz, great matchup. I feel like Hamzah Sheeraz moving up to 168 is really going to help him. You know, Hamzah has a very good ring IQ. He now has teamed up with Andy Lee, who I think is one of the best trainers in the world. Is it a risky fight to take first fight up at 168? Very. You know, Edgar's very heavy-handed. He's very explosive. And what Edgar does, if he's confident enough, is throw with you. He's happy to exchange with you. Hamzah can punch as well. But my worry is Edgar's got quite fast hands in the exchange. And I think Hamzah's got to be very careful early in that fight, not to just get carried away with the moment and just unravel, lose his shape, and just exchange with Edgar. Because Edgar has a lot of power. And I think Edgar's confidence right now is sky high. You know, he fought against Canelo Alvarez. I think he could have done a lot more in that fight. But I think he also got the confidence to go, you know what, I felt the power, I felt the experience. And you saw, although his next fight was an easy opponent, he still demolished him. So I think you have to make Edgar Berlanga the favourite in that fight. But Hamzah Sheeraz has every shot if he can get the right game plan with Andy Lee, who also, of course, trained Jason Quigley, who fought Edgar Berlanga a couple of fights ago and had success in that fight. So it's a great matchup. I think if you have a pick in New York with the momentum, you probably go with Edgar Berlanga, but Hamzah Sheeraz very live in that fight. Edgar's aggressive early, so it's always, and as I said, if you come out and you get caught cold exchanging against Edgar Berlanga, you're in trouble. And for me, once the fight goes past 5 or 6 rounds, Hamzah might become the favourite in the fight. The danger for Hamzah Sheeraz is those early exchanges, getting caught cold against a big puncher. Yeah, I think Hamzah, probably a little bit of lack of experience at that level. The last fight for the world title, he didn't really show up, and I know he hurt his hand in the fight. And I think 160 must have been killing him as well, to be honest. But just the experience of fighting against world-class opposition. But, you know, Hamzah's a composed man. I think if he can put a great performance in, has a good shot. It's a great fight. I mean, for Dubois, the inactivity, you know, missing out on that Joseph Parker fight might hurt him a little bit, because the momentum for Daniel Dubois has been incredible. I mean, he beat Miller, he beat Hrgovic, he beat AJ, but it will be, what, 10 months out of the ring. I still believe he'll have that confidence, but I think he could have done with that Parker fight, or certainly this fight, maybe 3 or 4 months ago. When they fought last time, I don't think that was the best Alexander Usyk by any stretch of the imagination, but I also don't think it was the Daniel Dubois that we've got now. You know, at that stage, Daniel Dubois had very little confidence. He went to Poland, big crowd, and gave Usyk a decent fight. Didn't win many rounds, but he looked dangerous in the fight. Obviously the controversial low blow as well. And now I think Dubois has a lot more confidence. The reality is, he's for the undisputed heavyweight world championship. You know, Daniel Dubois could be the undisputed world heavyweight champion. I don't think he will be, but he's dangerous, and he can punch, and he's strong. When you fight Usyk, it's like, yeah, you've just, you know, the bigger, much bigger man. He's got to be more dominant. He's got to push him back. He's got to, you know, and that was what everyone said about AJ. It's not that easy. Look at the size of Anthony Joshua. Look at the size of Tyson Fury. And they weren't able to get on the front foot, beat him up and push him back. Can Daniel Dubois do it? Probably not, but he's young, he's heavy-handed, he's confident, and he's in the fight. I think Dubois got to hurt him. But the reality is whether it was a low blow or not, Usyk does not like it to the body. You know, that was one incident. I mean, that low blow didn't hit him in the nuts, right? It hit him in the lower part of the stomach. And if it was 2 or 3 inches higher, it would have had the same effect. And I think the fight would have been over, and Daniel Dubois would have been the world heavyweight champion. And don't forget, Usyk stopped Dubois last time with not a lot of artillery. I mean, it was just a peppering, and then Dubois kind of quit in the fight. I don't think that quit exists in the same way now. And that makes him more dangerous, the belief that he has. So Dubois has got to be aggressive, he's got to land, and he's got to start fast and try and make it uncomfortable for Alexander Usyk. And that's something that's difficult to do. For me, obviously, Usyk's just beaten Fury twice. It's clear number 1 in the division. And Dubois just beat AJ. So it's 1v2, really. I think, you know, Fury might say he's still number 2, and AJ, you know, talk about a bad night, whatever. The reality is these are the guys that are in form, coming off the biggest wins of their career.